Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
Well, good afternoon, wherever you are watching in Victoria, across the nation, or indeed around the world. And welcome to Avenger Park on a bit of a gloomy, albeit gently tempered, Saturday afternoon, where a fixture of pivotal importance in the Senol National Premier League Women's Victoria makes itself known. Both of these clubs will have their seasonal trajectory altered by the end of this afternoon. This is the first real crossroad of the campaign, the journey down Brunswick Road on a bustling Saturday in Melbourne's inner north, hoping to be a fruitful one for both of them. Avondale return home with only one defeat in 5, and that run was continued with a point rescued at Preston last week. Today, they have the opportunity to get themselves right in the mix for a top 4 finish this season. Home has been happy hunting ground, yet to drop a point on their own patch. The minimum expectation for continued prosperity. Parkville, though, in desperate need of a boost. Beaten by Bulleen at home last Saturday night and still in search of an escape from early relegation peril. That result snapped a run of 3 unbeaten. Today, though, they know they must get back to winning ways to propel themselves back towards where they want to be. My name is Ethan Rigg, and I'm joined on commentary this afternoon by Ellie Curlis. Ellie, good afternoon to you.
Hey, good afternoon. Really looking forward to this game, and we were talking off air how important this game was for both teams, and I think expect a lot of, throughout the duration of this game, a lot of both teams going at it.
Could be quite the action-packed afternoon. We'll take you through the lineups as we approach kickoff. 2 out. Janitsaris. Bennett is the goalkeeper. Georgia Traynor and Cameron Barrero both start against their former side. Isabella Ricordo, Elise Kellen-Knight, Sloane Young, who's been in quite fine goal-scoring touch as of recent, Asuka Miata, Gulchan Janitzaris, who was one of those changes, Olivia Lazarevska, Hannah Wilkinson, and of course Lila Ross. For Heidelberg, they too have made 2 changes, one by the force of their own hand, wild suspension last week, something that they wouldn't have wanted. However, Nali Plant, Aya Sasaki, Hayley Gertz, Maya Hyson, Alyssa Salesi, Minori Akiyama, Mia Bailey, Sunny Plant, Samantha Kerwood-Wagner, Annalie Bidwell, and Jion Shou are all the starters for them this afternoon. They come here in desperate need of a win, in desperate need of a way to pick themselves up off of what's been a hot and cold start to the season. They look like they might have been picking up some form at the end of March, the start of April. Started with that point at Burundara, which certainly gave them some buoyancy, though that in the meantime was brought right back down to earth by Bulleen last week. This a really, really crucial afternoon for both of these sides in search of just a little bit of respite and maybe a bit of guidance to where their season will go. For Avondale, 4 straight promotions is not something to be steered away at. Their start to life in the top flights has been nothing short of exceptional, and they could truly continue that today. A win, Ellie, it only takes them 3 points for the time being at least from the top of the table itself.
Well, you always want to take any points you can get as well. When speaking to one of the, team members throughout the week for Avondale, they were talking about how the team is starting to find those connections, and you can certainly see that. But, one player I'm really looking forward to is Sloane Young. She is going to be really exciting to watch.
Heidelberg wanting to cause an early issue for Avondale, and there is Young, who was happy to drop back. Lines were cleared only as far as Hyson, who tried to set it for Sio. It was won away by Miata. Kerwood-Wagner couldn't steer it further forwards. Ricardo had to clear her lines. Lazarevska was under pressure from Kerwood-Wagner. And then Barrero was the one who came screaming across to clear. Not exactly a comfy start for either side so far on an afternoon that has that Melburnian autumnal chill. A slight breeze as well at Avenger Park. Avondale wanting to keep up an 100% record at home. It's been quite remarkable, really. Place a lot of emphasis on home form for newly promoted sides. They've showcased that and then some. They've found quite a scoring flow at this place too. That's something they want to continue. So very important not only if they are to keep themselves away from a little bit of peril, which can creep in if you start to rot, but to keep a good feeling and to keep a high level of confidence going on their own turf.
Well, we were talking about this off air as well. Being a newly promoted side, you always want to prove a point on your home deck as well. And as you said, they've done a terrific job. And I think looking at the pitch, it's a wide ground as well. And I think, you know, being at this ground before, against Melbourne City, it's, I guess, a challenge for the visitors trying to figure out a way to drive the ball forward or, you know, find those options.
Heidelberg wanting to find a rhythm for themselves. Again, it was cut out by Miata. Wasn't able to roll it further forward. Goetz was happy to reset, having won it back in the middle of the park. They've been quite freely scoring so far this season, Avondale. They've scored 3 or more on 4 occasions already to start the campaign, as Sio was clattered into. Heidelberg will have a free kick. That was a rather heavy challenge from Trainer, who just goes to check on the well-being of Jion Suo. And thankfully for Heidelberg's number 99, she is back on her feet. A little bit of a robust lunge. So her first free kick of the afternoon. Heisen went searching, did so to good effect. Sasaki flicked it on. Barrero gave a quick 1-2 and then rolled it out the other way for Ricardo. A very measured and patient start from both of these sides so far. Here is Trainer, who speared one into the channel and gave Ross one to chase. It was quickly mopped up without much issue by Mia Bailey. You mentioned that width, Ellie, and it looks like Avondale are going to hit those channels as often as they can this afternoon. Ross already willing to do that kind of running. Slow Young was able to hold the width and just invited that run too. This will be something crucial as Heidelberg look to do the same. That's a lovely ball from Plant, and it was only guided into the arms of Bennett, who was waiting patiently at her near post. Now Kellen Knight, Miata, Trainer. Heidelberg go to press high. It was cleared by Ricardo. It was taken down tidily by Wilkinson, who couldn't find Miata. It was well won by Goetz, who couldn't quite get the return from Kerwood Wagner. Barrero couldn't steer it for Ross, and then Miata just nipped in and won it, and now it might open up for Avondale. Young held the width well, had Plant to go round. Slow Young kept persevering. It'll come back to her, and her effort is drilled just wide, and it got a flick. It will be an Avondale corner.
I love the work rate in Avondale's forward third. You could see the drives. You could see each player giving that second or third option, and that's what you love to see, is that backup options.
Link up between Young and Miata for the first time really this afternoon. One that's causing Heidelberg a headache. It's given Avondale their first corner and a real opportunity. Whip to the near post. Bailey did well to get a punch. Plant with a tidy 1-2, and they got away from Miata, who was looking to press. And now Sio's got Rome to charge into, and Heidelberg can break. Only had one up with her and was surrounded by a sea of blue. Jion Sio is going all on her own. Teasing ball to the back post. Didn't have a runner. It was too deep for Goetz, who was too late to get onto it. But that is how quickly, with how high Avondale committed forward, that Heidelberg were able to spring on the counter.
Well, I think that was a great job by So there. You could see that drive towards the net. It was on target. It was just unfortunate, she couldn't get straight through the net. But, I think these are the shots on target you want to see from Heidelberg.
Start of much more positivity. There's Akiyama. Again went searching for Sio. That one had too much weight on it. That being said, Heidelberg have really been trying to take it to Avondale. and put them on the back foot early, get themselves a much needed good start on the road. I'd made a habit of scoring away from home in recent weeks first. Had done so against Burundara too. That got them well on their way to a point. Sloan couldn't spin away from Plant, who persevered well. Set it back for Akiyama. Had options charging. Wasn't able to get it further down the line. It was cut out well by Trainer. One back by Miyata. Keller Knight helped it on its way. Accardo. The other way for Barrero, who went to spear it for Ross. Hyson got up. It'll fall for Plants. That's a brilliant read from Trainer, who then steered it on for Young. And Avondale might have an opportunity. Plant got a foot in just as she looked to slide it into the channel for Ross. And now Gertz, who gave one for Sonny Plant to chase, though it had far too much of it. Avondale just showing some slickness. Having taken a couple of minutes to find their rhythm. As again they go for Young. That's a tidy flick over the top. Was well read by Hyson, helped on by Gertz. Akiyama. Plants. Slight miscommunication. And it almost opened the door for Gertz to go and win it. It was tidily done by Wilkinson, who helped it on for Lazarevska, who just wasn't quite able to keep it in.
Yeah, just had that foot over the line there. Beautiful passage of play through the middle there for Avondale.
Just starting to turn the screw in the middle of the park. That being said, deadlock still unbroken as Akiyama and Heidelberg patient in their build-up. Hyson encouraged to charge again and then gave it away to Miyata, who gave Ross one to chase in a foot race with Akiyama, who did superbly well, although Ross prevented her from being able to fully clear her lines. Plant, who had two to go beyond, couldn't find a way beyond Young. She was given a hand by Trainer. Another Heidelberg throw. This time Plant goes with more length, and again Trainer's quickly across. And they tried to work their way from the flank centrally. Gertz couldn't steer it further. Genitaris, who dropped in, happy to set it back. Accardo. Back for Genitaris, who was just afforded a yard. That's a tidy ball for Ross, who worked it out for Young. Now Miyata. Genitaris had to get there just in the nick of time. Sasaki was lurking. Now Accardo helps it out the other way to Barrero. Much calmer approach from Avondale to start this game. They've looked to take the tempo out of it when they can. Miyata's found a yard, and that's a lovely ball for Barrero, who's got options streaming forward. Was fancied it alone. It was a good challenge from Bidwell. Akiyama then lost out. Wilkinson set it on for Keller Knight, who steered it for Ross. Hyson was at her back. Akiyama got a foot on it. Wilkinson went and won it back. Set it for Miyata, who battled with Gertz, and she did well to clip it over. And now Sasaki could go the other way. Heidelberg have got three streaming forward. Avondale are in retreat. Threaded for Sio, who went early. And again, Bennett had a good view and was watchful.
Yeah, Bennett read that like a book, and so again, right idea on the right side. Just, I would have loved to see a few more options coming forward for Heidelberg, but Bennett read that ball like a book.
This time Bennett drills it Out towards Sloan Young, who turned smashingly. And Plant in retreat did equally as well. Can feel that where they've just taken a little bit of time to find rhythm in this first half. In the last 5 minutes or so, Avondale have just started to gather some momentum. They've just started to put Heidelberg under a bit more duress. Again nodded away. Wilkinson got a foot in ahead of Plants. Janitsaris. Happily set back to Ricardo. And now Barrero. That's brilliantly won back by Bidwell, who again tried to steer it for Sio and wasn't quite able to. You can feel that Avondale have just dropped off a couple of yards. Seeing how Sio's been able to get a bit of joy using the channels. We've dropped off for Kellen Knight, and now Barrero. Ricardo threaded that wonderfully. Kellen Knight just held the space and then went looking for Ross, wasn't able to. Bailey brilliantly found Gertz, whose touch invited Kellen Knight to go and challenge, and Gertz got away from her. Sasaki, who was muscled off it by Ricardo, who in turn wanted to clip for Sloan Young, though it had a bit too much on it.
Just want to put it back on Heidelberg. I'm really loving their defence the last couple of possessions. They're really locking down on the... every time Avondale drive through that front third, Heidelberg, they're doing a great job of closing that space down.
They have suffocated Avondale's ability to move centrally so far. Having to use the width through a lot of this early passage to craft themselves opportunities. Though they are adopting quite a patient approach at the moment, Heidelberg have marshalled them well. Heisen and Salesi have been quite solid, and here is Gertz. Akiyama wanted it further forward, wanted to steer it for Plants, and Trainer got in the way. Akiyama again went for Plant. This time it was Sloan Young's turn to charge her down. Heidelberg just in a good patch. And Sio again forced Trainer to clear. Though they may not mind this, slowing the game down a little bit. Just as Avondale looked as though they might be starting to build some momentum of their own. Just takes the sting out of a couple of minutes where they gave up an opportunity or two. Plansto sent long. Steered well. Kerwood Wagner got a yard momentarily. Cleared only as far as Akiyama, who nodded it on for Bidwell. She in turn couldn't steer it further than Miata, who only cleared for Heisen, and then Young went and took over and tiptoed away beyond Gertz and poked it on for Wilkinson, who's gone away from Salesi, and Wilkinson is in. That's a brilliant, brilliant challenge in retreat from Plant.
Just when you think Wilkinson had that drive towards the net by herself, great work there by Plant, just 2-on-1 there, but I thought the defenders for Heidelberg, did a great job slowing down Wilkinson there.
Gnarly Plant with perhaps the most important piece of action so far this afternoon. Last-ditch defensive defiance. Corner again, sent long. Wilkinson got up. And her header was flicked wide.
That was on target. That was on target there.
Couple of opportunities, really, for Avondale thus far. Wilkinson's had a couple of looks in a couple of moments. Just worked a yard for herself quite well. Got free of Hyson, got free of Salesi. That's given away to Young. And Wilkinson, the return was just a little bit behind her. Kellen Knight made it work. Now Miata, who again went to steer long. And Ross was asked a lot of to get in behind. Sio was collided into, really, by Barrero. Referee didn't see a problem with it. Miata on for Trainer. Janitsaris. On for Ricardo. Avondale happy just to be patient, just to draw Heidelberg in. A Young dropped off to give Janitsaris a helping hand. This time it's Plant's turn to press, and it just opened up the room for Kellen Knight, who wanted to spear for Ross. It was read well by Hyson, who turned it on to Akiyama. Now Sasaki. Sio just picked up a yard on the right-hand side. Sasaki, though, lost out this time. Miata rolled it on for Ross, whose ball was just a fraction too far ahead of Wilkinson. Otherwise, she would have been on the march with one further forward too. Janitsaris was hustled by Kerwood Wagner. Dropped it off for Kellen Knight. And now Ricardo. Avondale starting to get a grip on this game. Wilkinson. Again, Ricardo, who's invited to drive. Kellen Knight. Threaded beautifully, and Wilkinson is in behind, and Bailey did well to deny her.
Again, there's those opportunities for Avondale where they're threatening, but I think for Heidelberg, they've got to be careful now in this point in the game not to make it so easy, because right now they're leaving those open gaps.
Akiyama tried to steer it for Plant. The trainer overran it, but not to her detriment. Kellen Knight. Plant was just lurking. Trainer wasn't quite able to return it to release Kellen Knight. It's been a bit of a caginess to the start of this game. You do feel that both sides have not yet thrown all they can at each other. That's a good read from Hyson. Equally as such from Miata, who then spun herself into trouble and out of it wonderfully. Then fell Wilkinson, who battled and lost out with Akiyama and then gave away a free kick.
That was a beautiful effort there by Akiyama there. It looks like Wilkinson again was going to go on the run there, but Akiyama again, credit to her, that's the little wins that you want to get for your team.
Bidwell, Sasaki, that's a lovely clip into the channel, and Sio's got a yard. 3 were arriving for her, though she was held up brilliantly by Barrero. Salesi again went with whip. Miata cleared it. Sasaki couldn't steer it for an advancing Bidwell. Barrero happier to clear this time. Salesi. Sio couldn't find Sasaki. It was well read by Barrero. Again, Sasaki goes and wins it back. And then Hyson had a bit of a blunder, and Ross can march. Wilkinson was advancing. Slowness on the far side. Set back for Kellen Knight, who fancies a go from range. And Bailey was unbothered to watch it go wide.
Callum Knight, gee, that you got to love that passage of play. You could see her driving for that, and again, you can just feel right now someone's threatening to score here.
Avondale ascendancy. As we have a bit of sunshine break through the clouds in Parkville, the Avengers are also heating up too. Young tried to drop in, it was well won by Kerwood Wagner. Plants couldn't steer it beyond Trainer. A shot for handball was waved away. Akiyama. Plants. Trainer again was watchful. And this time Young stole in. Now Kellen Knight, who had two around her. Akiyama slid in. It'll break for Wilkinson, who's gone away from one. And now Ross can charge. Salesi's in retreat, and the slide was timed to perfection.
Yeah, it sure was. Great effort there by Celeste there to shut that run down towards the right-hand side.
Sasaki, Plants, tried to drop it off Akiyama, Kellen Knight, and then Wilkinson lost it. Trainer. It didn't quite stay alive for her from Janet Zaris. But again, Heidelberg have an opportunity just to take a bit of tempo out of what Avondale have been doing. That's well read by Young. Happy to drop it off for Miata. And now Ocado. Janitsaris. And Kellen Knight's found a pocket well. Was waiting on a runner, and the space opened up for Sloane Young, who had Akiyama in retreat, had two up with her, and tried to slide it for Lazarevska. And the clip was appreciated, though it just had a little bit too much on it.
Yeah, it sure was. Just too much pepper on that kick there. But right idea, just too much pepper.
She's starting to get a little bit more freedom down that right-hand side. Is Sloane Young. As Kerwood Wagner won in well. And Akiyama was really asking Plant to get up on the overlap. Trainer was in retreat and the ball had a little bit too much on it. And that in this first half so far has really been Heidelberg's undoing. When they've had the opportunities, particularly down this left-hand side, it's that final ball, it's the end product that's just been missing a little bit.
I was just about to mention that. You can see that the attackers are working hard in that front third, but they just need to, as I said, they need to find someone to punch forward.
Was well blocked by Trainer, found its way to Young. Kellen Knight. Miata, it's a tidy 1-2, and it's a tidy ball as well out the other way. And all of a sudden, Barrero has got room to barge her way forward into, although the cross for Ross wasn't quite able to find her. Bailey was direct, Janitsaris, and Kellen Knight came through to win it, and her header only found Plant. Took a challenge from Trainer, and now Young, who this time has got Wilkinson, who has worked a yard on Hyson. Two were charging for her. Wilkinson, Ross, worked a yard on Salesi, and then just lost her footing as she went to strike.
Yeah, great work there by Ross there. She was there, just unfortunate there to lose the footing. But as a coaching staff, I want to be disappointed by that work rate.
Kerwood Wagner kept it alive. Ball down the channel, only found Ocado. Barrero, back for Janitsaris. Pereiro once more. Made a darting run in the channel and was found well by Kellen Knight. And Salesi again across. And again slid into very good effect. So far she's been very solid. And hasn't really given Avondale a lot of joy down their left-hand side.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Barrero. She's a workhorse right now. She's just, every time it's like see ball, get ball. She's going for everything.
Kellen Knight got it back from Barrero. And Miyata, whose flick was well read by Sasaki. And then helped on its way by Hyson. Who gave Show one to chase. Cardo did well. Janitsaris. Avondale just looks so assured. It's such a tidy ball for Barrero, who had a runner in the channel. And Lazarevska giving chase. Bidwell in retreat, did well. Bailey was starved of options and then gave it away. And Young has got an opportunity, had one further forward with her, skipped her way brilliantly beyond two, although Ross will have an open net to tap into. What a block that is! Salesi right in the nick of time. Denied Ross and Avondale an opener, although there is cause for Heidelberg concern behind play. Sloan Young stole in, tiptoed her way terrifically away from two. And was denied bravely and brilliantly by Mia Bailey at some personal cost.
Yeah, hopefully Mia Bailey's okay. Fingers crossed, nothing serious, but just how about the block there? And this is what you love from a coach, your defenders. You know, the work rate in defence. But just looking at Mia Bailey, she's up, which is a good sign. So let's just hope it's nothing serious. But coaches love in defence that's if you're watching the replay for this one, any kids out there, that's how you get it done there.
Superb. Truly from Salesi. Denied Lila Ross what she would have thought was a certain goal. She and they cannot believe they've not broken the deadlock, as Alyssa Sheshelnitsky gets herself ready. On the Heidelberg bench, both sides just taking a quick time for a tactical address. Bailey heads back to her net, gingerly albeit. He seems to be okay to continue. Avondale have a corner, though they will be utterly perplexed as to how, instead of a corner, they haven't opened the scoring. Yet another last-ditch Salesi slide. And it preserves parity for the time being. Kellen Knight's corner. Young just darted to the back post. Wilkinson was nearer, and now there is some conversation on the far side. Kellen Knight now will get to take that corner. Again sent towards Wilkinson, who got up. And once more, Salesi's in the way to steer it again at the expense of another Avondale corner. Kellen Knight take two. And speared Bailey, it was awkward for her. Did well not to get a flick on it. Young was flying in at the back post. A really awkward height hit with some venom. Bailey uncertain whether to stay or go. And in the end, did just enough to prevent anybody at the near post, though. Sloane Young was inches away from tapping in at the back post.
You could see that she was threatening to direct that ball towards the net, and it was unfortunate not to get that. But again, Heidelberg's defence, they're staying with it. They're doing their job well. They just, how much longer can they stay going into the halftime break?
Janitsaris happy to set it back. Barrero. Accardo happy to return for Bennett, who spitted only as far as Bidwell. And now Miata. Ross will make it work. Heisen did well. Keller Knight then lost it. And now it might open up. Slid in well by Sasaki for Sio, who was in behind and has steered her effort just wide. That was a golden look for Heidelberg, who, with a little miscontrol and a little misfortune from Avondale, were oh so close to making them pay.
That would have been sensational, right on the highlights reel. Just again, like for both teams, you can see that those shots are on target, but again, just across the face, that was unfortunate there. That would have been a great goal for Heidelberg.
Both teams have had opportunities to break the deadlock. And for an Avondale side who have found scoring to be quite free-flowing, last time they were kept to a clean sheet was on Valentine's Day by Alamein. It's been a long, long time. They've been finding the net with frequency. You can see maybe not so much, too much frustration setting in. They easily created the best opportunity of this first half too, as Plank couldn't get beyond Trainer. But in particular, in 2 of their last 4, they have found 5 in each of them. The last time they were at home, they hit Bentley Greens for 5. So this place in particular has been one where they have found a fiercer finishing touch. Well, that's not been overly present so far this afternoon. Sasaki, when searching for Gertz, Trainer got in ahead of Plant, now Wilkinson, who went on the switch for Young, who had to lunge to get there. And a full finale Plant. Trainer will get there first. And then steer one down the channel, one which Ross can give chase to. Heisen's in retreat, and Ross has found a way round. Options were converging, and then Heisen did well to get a foot in.
Yeah, sure did. It looks like that was going to be an easy passage of play there for Avondale, and again, great work there by the Heidelberg defence.
Avondale really turning the screw, as Young lost her footing. Gertz and Plant forced Trainer to put a foot in. Keller Knight and flicked it on for Ross, who got away from 2, got away from 3. Heisen got a foot in. It then fell for Lazarevska, whose effort was whipping dangerously, but in the end whipping wide.
Great drive there by Lazarevska there. She just another that threat towards the net, and oh gee, those goals, when's it going to come?
Both teams have been knocking on the door. No one has found the right key to unlock either yet. It's not been a first half fraud of opportunity though. As Miata wanted to sniff for Wilkinson. Heisen got in the way. Now Gertz. Salesi tried to steer it for Kerwood Wagner. Barrero marshalled her well and then gave it away. And Sio is in behind and was denied brilliantly by Bennett. Avondale blushes spared by their shot stopper.
Bennett. Great block there. And again, you could see her coming out of the box there. Love the work rate. Love the work rate.
Did well to close the angle. And denied Sio, who's had a couple of opportunities, though Heidelberg have a corner. Suzaki's take, dangerous ball as well. Wilkinson got a whisker on it and that steered it away. Salesi, Plant, who was pressed by Ross. And then Trainer came flying across. And Avondale bench has been quite in the firing line so far in this first half. As Kerwood Wagner had a sea of blue to go round and some way, somehow came away with it. Bennett didn't get there, and Suzaki had an open net which he steered wide of. What an opportunity for Heidelberg later on in this half to go and snatch the lead. Steered agonisingly wide by Aya Suzaki. What a look to go ahead again.
Well, you could see, like, watching the vision, like 2 or 3 attackers in that box there for Heidelberg. And, again, that missed opportunity there, I think Heidelberg will be kicking themselves.
Tidy ball from Suzaki. Kerwood Wagner's touch was loose. Barrero then went and won it. Accardo momentarily turned into trouble. Bennett gave it air. Young's touch was tidy. And now Miata, Ross and Wilkinson. Neither of them was picked out. Salesi then took over. Suzaki had to slide. Her and Young collided. And now Keller Knight can charge. And Suzaki has stayed down. As Bidwell forced to clear her line. She's now back on her feet. Just wore a rather nasty one. There's Barrero. Miata. Worked it out for Keller Knight, who stood it up. It was long for Wilkinson. It'll fall for Young, who worked the yard well. And the deflection took the sting out of it for Bailey.
Great job there by Bailey. And again, Avondale just threading on that in that middle channel there. But as Avondale do a great job in that back third.
Sloan Young, who's had a couple of glimpses with yet another. Keller Knight was searching for Wilkinson. Bailey came up to mop up. Trainer found Young, whose touch again was astute. The challenge was a good one from Hyson. Janet Zaris got in the way of Gertz's ball. Shout for handball waved away. Keller Knight was unable to find Miata. Akiyama went and won it back. Now Plant. That's a tidy return. And Akiyama steered it for Sio, whose swivel only turned her into Trainer.
I think the Avondale bench might need to be a bit careful now and just make sure everyone's ready for that ball.
They've almost been collateral damage on many a time in this first half. Suzaki had a strike, though it had hit her arm on its way down. So is there a late twist to the first half tale? One which so far has run the narrative of maybe but not quite for both of these sides. Young afforded room. Miata and Ross were darting. Hyson won up well. Akiyama, Plant. Again, Heidelberg can't find a way down that left-hand side. Jenny Zaris. That's a smart turn from Miata and a searching ball for Sloan Young. And again, Salesi was quickly across to prevent it, but then only cleared it to Miata. Trainer, Keller Knight. Janitsaris. Another question into it now becomes how many minutes added on at the end of this half for both of these sides to see if they can take something into the break. Janitsaris. Miata did well to work a yard. Akiyama. Preston didn't quite get there. Young then got away from Plants. Miata. Wilkinson. Happy to drop it off for Trainer. Patient. Very patient from Avondale. Janitsaris. Arcado. And Barrero had a lot of height and wasn't found. Janitsaris. Miata dropped in and then steered it on for Trainer, who's invited to charge and gave Ross one to chase in the channel, though Bailey was quickly off.
I think you were saying about the reset and the patience in that back third for Avondale. I love the way how they were trying to find those different options because no one was coming forward. So the Avondale defenders really had to work harder in that back third.
Kerwood Wagner. Bidwell had overlapped. Barrero was best placed. Now Arcado. That's just so well worked out of the press. And now Miata had a couple of options, one of whom was Trainer. Young held the width, and Ross went charging, and the flag has stayed down. Salesi, again with a good lunge. Plant. Gertz, Akiyama. That's tidily worked. And now Plant has got room to drive into. Steered it in the channel for Kerwood Wagner to chase. Janitsaris happy to come across via a ricochet. It finds Trainer, who turns it into touch. Plants tried to steer it for Sio, who worked a yard on Barrero. Set it back for Bidwell, who whipped one dangerously. Janitsaris got a flick. Miata happy to hammer it away. Wilkinson, Kellen Knight. Wilkinson then went and got it back and lost it. Gertz and Sio held the width well. And Heidelberg have got an opportunity. Just as we're about to enter 2 minutes of stoppage time. At the end of the first half, Heidelberg have a corner.
Well, this is their opportunity. Can they find someone to punch forward through that in that box and find a way through the net?
Suzaki's take. Short for Sio. Suzaki take two. And Bennett was unbothered as it had far too much height. Wasn't troubling for the Avondale shot stopper. Janitsaris, lovely ball, and Young dropped off into quite a tidy pocket of space. Couldn't get away from Plant, having gone beyond Akiyama, then went and won it back. Trainer. Wilkinson held it up wonderfully. Miata wanted to return it for Ross. Cut out well by Salesi. On for Gertz. And now Akiyama, who's got room to drive into. Plant had peeled away, although the flag was up for offside. Maybe one last look in this first half. And where Avondale have been patient and certainly careful in possession, they might be ruining. One missed opportunity in particular, Lila Ross, denied supremely by Salesi. Slide. Sio's had a couple of good opportunities. Suzaki steered one wide. Miata lunged. Lazarevska happy to drop it back for Janitsaris. And that will be the tale of the half. Both sides have had a glimmer, although neither have been able to break through by defensive defiance or forward misfire. Half-time at Avenger Park, and neither have been able to break the deadlock. It's Avondale 0, Heidelberg United 0.
Test, test, test. How's that? Test, test, test.
And so we return to Avenger Park from half-time. A little bit of a reshuffle for both sides at the break. Sydney Allen introduced for Avondale, Irina Razumich for Heidelberg, the afternoons of Sonny Plant, and also Olivia Lazarevska come to a close. Both sides wanting to break the deadlock in this second half. For Avondale, an opportunity to climb into the top four beckons and to go closer to the top of the tree in and of itself. For Heidelberg, they can establish a bit more of a gap between themselves and the bottom chasing pack. So, with the season at a crossroad, with both of these teams knowing how important 45 is. Miata had an early look. And as did Ross, who was darting into the back post. The ball was too high for one and too deep for another.
Well, what a start that would have been for the second half. But as you were saying, Ethan, with Cindy Allen coming onto the pitch, I think that's a great sub for Avondale. It just brings that extra drive in that forward third for Avondale.
She'll be the one to sit off Wilkinson. Operates well in that channel. Right in the hole, and there is Allen again. It's a lovely ball this time, over the top. And a real opportunity for Avondale to get themselves further forward. And put Heidelberg even under more pressure at the start of this half. Dangerous ball whipped in. Kellen Knight now. Whipped it wonderfully for Wilkinson, whose header was watched over by Mia Bailey as it just dipped devilishly late.
Yeah, that was a beautiful header. That it just went over too much over the crossbar.
Totally done by Sloan Young as well to start that attack. Avondale looking to fly out of the traps at the start of this second half. They know what this afternoon and 3 points on it means. Kellen Knight, one ahead of Sasaki, Salesi. That's a brilliant take from Miata, who steered it on for Wilkinson, who wanted to nod one on for Ross. Bidwell's in retreat. Lila Ross looked to keep it alive, and Akiyama did well to play it off Miata. Again, Ross nods on. Miata wasn't there. Akiyama was able to win it and really just cleared her lines. Janitaris did well. Ricardo happy to reset. Her and Barrero sorted out. Sio had to drop off. It was belted into Kerwood Wagner, and now Heidelberg have an opportunity. A first look as well for Razumich, who, when trying to slide for Kerwood Wagner, played a ball that was far too beyond her. Ricardo. Janitsaris. Young clips it round the corner for Trainer, who couldn't go beyond Gertz. Much more purpose, much more momentum and impetus on how Avondale have started this second half. Trainer's flick on, only found Gertz, who steered it in the channel for Sio. Ricardo was alert to it. Sio then went and won it back. Ball was whipped for Kerwood Wagner, unable to find her. Thumped away by Barrero. Bidwell. Sasaki. Akiyama. Got away from Allen. Dropped it off for Hyson. And now Razumich. Had Plan going beyond, and that's a lovely ball. Planner's got in behind. Trainer's in retreat. It was whipped across and ever so crucially cut out by Ricardo. Given away by Miata. Akiyama then again got in ahead of Allen. Plan again has turned Trainer, and Heidelberg have got options waiting. Sasaki slid, show at the back post. Oh, brilliant save from Bennett. And still the danger isn't averted. Shows graced the bar. And Trainer cleared for a corner. Two brilliant looks, one a brilliant save, and the other bruised the upright.
Do we need Benny Hill's music for that one? Because that was three great opportunities there for Heidelberg, and especially the one that just went over the crossbar. How did that not go in? That's Benny Hill's music for you right there.
Gets his corner taken quickly. Got it back from Sasaki and steered the effort with too much height over. Where Avondale wanted to fly out of the traps, Heidelberg have had the best look. Desperately unlucky was Gioncio from putting Heidelberg ahead and really throwing a spanner in the works for Avondale's afternoon. The trainer steered long, only for Bailey. What a start to this second half at Avenger Park. Both sides have had an opportunity each. As Bailey and Salesi are able to just evade the Avondale press, and that's a tidy ball for Kerwood Wagner, whose touch invited Barrero, ricocheted off Miata. Carter moved it on for Kellen Knight. Trainer got it back from Janitzaris. And now Sloan Young. Plank got a foot in. Allen left it for Kellen Knight. And again it's given away. And now Akiyama can charge. Kellen Knight's in retreat. Akiyama had Razumich. And Kellen Knight did superbly. And then was fouled.
Yeah, free kick there for Avondale. And I think great little duel there. But just they're over that Heidelberg in that attack. Just a little overzealous there.
This, of course, the first of 5 on Saturday in the Channel National Premier League Victoria Women's. Alamein hosts Box Hill in quite an important game for the visitors to keep their early momentum going in the title race. Keeler Park and Preston meet one another in a bit more of a battle. And then, of course, we go to Casey Fields, Melbourne City and Bentley Greens, and to round it out, a massive game at the Veneto Club, Bulleen in South Melbourne. Later on this afternoon, quite a day of football in this state. As Heidelberg had an opportunity, Razumich went to whip it in. The flag was up for offside. That being said, today really feels like a moving day in terms of the table. Keeler Park and Preston, Bentley Greens, Melbourne City, both big games towards the bottom of the table. Heidelberg at the moment, if it stays this way, would pick up quite a precious point considering all the teams around them have to play one another.
Well, any point that you can get to move up the table is, like, you'll take anything that you can get. And I think right now, the way that Heidelberg are playing, they're showing what they've got, and they're doing a great job right now.
Still holding firm. Avondale know what is at stake for them. And if Alamein were to beat Box Hill today, they would usurp them in the table. There's Gertz. Gave one with height. Accardo. And back for Bennett. And now out for Trainer, who was pressed by Razumich and just did tidily to take the pressure off. That's a brilliant ball from Bennett, who speared it on for Barrero, who then clipped one for Wilkinson. Salesi got up. Turned over by Bidwell, and Sasaki couldn't quite keep it alive. Miata dropped it off for Janitzaris, who couldn't clip it over Gertz, who got a flick. Young, and then gave Wilkinson one to go after. Heisen came across, of course, as well today for Heidelberg. Side who have conceded 2 or more on many an occasion this season. Defensively, they've been very defiant so far, more so than anything. It's been well structured. And for a side who have leaked goals, and they were hit for 6 last week by Bulleen, this a much bigger improvement.
100%. I think we've spoken about this throughout the first half, that Heidelberg did have their opportunities, but you can see their drive towards the net. They're certainly threatening, and you just think at some point in the second half, when's that goal going to come? Because in fact, these two teams, when is this goal going to happen? And once that happens, you certainly want to build that momentum.
Neither side really able to make inroads in on one another thus far. Where the first half, it had a little bit of caginess to it for its first quarter of an hour. The second half hasn't unfolded in similar vein. Gioncio had 2 opportunities, got desperately unlucky on both. The first was a good save by Bennett, and that's a good ball to find Kerwood Wagner, who is battling with Barrero and has got beyond only on the first time, and then wanted a free kick, one which she will not get. Barrero went for Ross, though she'd run out of room before it found her. Coward Wagner. Ross this time on defensive duty. We mentioned it could be a moving day in the Senol National Premier League Victoria Women's. Bulleen have a great opportunity, albeit only for the time being, to go top, as to Box Hill. Even so, Alamein can go level on points with Boroondara if they are to be victorious in that. So there is the utmost of importance on picking up points today. And for Avondale, they get an opportunity early to usurp South Melbourne. They would fly into the top 4. They'd go above Alamein. Whereas for Heidelberg, they'd still sit only a handful of points above the drop zone. Quite the amount of weight being placed on these fixtures in particular. So it was speared long for Young. Hyson got up and was able to nod it away.
I was just about to mention about the table, but this is the point in the season where, and we spoke about this off air, the first 4 or 5 games is, you're finding your feet, but this is where, at this point of the season, where you want to pick up points and you want to, pick up as many points as possible, because that could certainly come down into the later third of the season. So this is super crucial for both teams.
Our trainer was in firmly on plan. And we'll just receive a talking to. Heidelberg bench aren't overly happy about all of that. She flew in with similar ferocity in the first half. The Heidelberg have a free kick. And an opportunity maybe to break this game open. Gertz's take with depth. Kerwood Wagner. Janitzaris got up. Miata helped it on its way. And then got there ahead of Sasaki. Bidwell came barging through and made a firm challenge. A real patient start to this second half from both of these sides. It continued in the similar vein of the first. Heidelberg have been far more direct, however. Avondale looking to play that possession-based game. As Barrero steered it down the line. That's a lovely ball as well for Keller Knight, who's in behind. Bidwell's in retreat. It was stood to the near post, and Young couldn't apply a finishing flick. Wilkinson did well to keep it alive, however. Danger not averted. Steered with depth, but too much depth for anyone to get there.
How about the run there on Keller Knight? You could see that run right from defence into that attacking third, and again, just unfortunate not to get that, find an extra attacker in that box, but great passage of play, and I'd be happy if I was an Avondale coach there.
Certainly a lot to be positive about. Keller Knight's had quite the afternoon. Flicked on by Miata, only for Sasaki, who went to steer it the other way for Sio. Barrero did well. Dropped it back for Bennett. We might get the first bit of bench movement as well in this second half at some point soon. There's Ross. Was backed by Bidwell, whose challenge was good. Barrero got in ahead of Sio and threaded that well for Keller Knight, whose touch was deft. Ross, Allen, Miata. The trainer had advanced on the far side. Miata took the yards which were available to her and then went and won it back. Tried to make it out for Wilkinson, but was unable to. And Heidelberg are prepping a change. And will make that substitution. Could it be one that steers this game in their favour? Sonali Plant's afternoon is done. And Addison Broadbent, who was one of the changes from the starting lineup from previous weeks, now makes her way on. It's Kellen Knight, left it for Janitsaris. Allen's flick on, Wilkinson will get there first, but Bailey will get there with more bravery. And a very crucial gather. And now Sio steered that nicely for Kerwood Wagner. That's a very, very good challenge to win it back. Ricardo did brilliantly. Kellen Knight dropped it off for Janet Zaris. Ricardo. Barrero. Kellen Knight, who speared it in the channel. And Lila Ross has been given one to chase. Salesi came across and was happy to clear.
Just want to mention something about Addison Broadbent. She's only 17 years of age, which is absolutely incredible. She played for Glenorchy Knights in Tasmania. And she's a defender. So great sub for Heidelberg.
That might have picked up maybe a little bit of a knock. She wore one or two heavy challenges, so it could be precautionary. And what an opportunity for Broadbent. It's Janet Zaris. Avondale still just taking their time. See if they can unlock a Heidelberg defence which has stood firm. Janet Zaris, that's drilled brilliantly. Miata helped it on its way. And Wilkinson is in. And again, Bailey denies. Another good opportunity for Avondale. That run in behind. More of what they've wanted to see. Danger not averted for Heidelberg yet. Kellen Knight on for Ross. Returned it for Kellen Knight. She was pressed by Sio. Sasaki went and won it. Kerwood Wagner helped it on. And now an opportunity for Kerwood Wagner. Away from Barrero. Beyond Janitzaris. And denied brilliantly by Bennett.
Great block there by Bennett. And Kerwood Wagner, gee, she was on the run in that box there. How about that?
A really bustling Kerwood Wagner run. Almost provided Heidelberg with the opener. And with a goal that they so desperately crave. Sasaki's corner. With depth, and Bennett did well. Judged brilliantly. And she wants to go direct and wants to go for Allen. Took a bounce over Akiyama, and it favoured Sydney Allen. He dropped it off for Kellen Knight. This game just becoming a little bit stretched. Both sides sensing an opportunity. Janitzaris. Miata. On for Trainer, who couldn't steer it for Wilkinson. Hyson was in the way. Akiyama. For Miato, tried to steer it for Allen. Sasaki did well. And now Gertz, that's a lovely ball. And Razovic is in behind. Two converging for her. One of whom was Sio, who steered it wide. What a look. And another opportunity for not just Heidelberg, but for Gion So goes begging.
Just observing the Heidelberg bench, they were pumped about that. And I love just hearing from up here in the commentary, they were so up and about for that one. So it's good to see the energy up and about for Heidelberg because they can feel it.
Closest they have come since that crossbar crasher early in the half. Heidelberg sensing an opportunity. Sio, Kerwood, Wagner, that's a beauty of a ball. And now Akiyama, who gave it on the return. Two arriving. Couldn't be steered any further. Then Allen, who was there to clear. Broadbent was in on Young and did well. Gertz couldn't get away from Miata, and now it's Avondale's turn to prep a substitution of their own. but not before Sasaki. Might get away from Janitzaris and was fouled. And Heidelberg have a free kick in a position of positivity, and Janitzaris is given a yellow card. And now that substitution will occur. Georgia Trainer's afternoon comes to its end, and Gia Claridge, who was one of the changes from Avondale's starting lineup, she makes her way on. The trainer had been watchful this afternoon and had been rock solid as a fullback. Though her day is done, and Heidelberg have a free kick and an opportunity to go and snatch the lead. Sasaki's free kick, whipped dangerously. And whipped wide of the post in the end, though Benu was scrambling.
Yeah, she sure was. You could see her work along the line of near the net. You could just see her. She was hungry for it. She was not going to allow any easy goal from that passage of play there.
Avondale prepping another change as well. Down on the touchline. They are not taking any chances. Looks like Lila Ross's afternoon might be the one to come to an end. Alana Bojas just getting ready to come on as Bidwell is bolting forward. She couldn't wriggle away from Ross, who did well. Janitzaris' clearance then didn't get further than Bidwell. Akiyama nodded away by Claridge, helped on its way by Kellen Knight, and now Allen. Akiyama dived into good effect. Razumich, who's got Claridge to go at. Razumich working well. Janitzaris came across and to really good effect. Just to stifle out the danger and then give it on to Allen. And now Young, and Miata has got the entire left-hand side to herself. Found well by Young. Ross went on the overlap and Bidwell did well. Moved it on for Kerwood Wagner. Perhaps Heidelberg can go on the counter. Sasaki threaded it for Sio, who got there and rounded Bennett, though the flag would have been up. And it would not have counted. And Avondale do get to make that change. And it will be Lila Ross, whose afternoon is done, and Alana Bojas, who will make her way on. Another reshuffle of the pack as they look to find their way into the lead. Heidelberg, to their credit, have created a plethora of opportunities as Hyson took a ricochet off Bojas. She then got there ahead of Wilkinson. Sasaki. Akiyama. Sasaki, that's really well worked. Broadbent, whose touch was heavy, though she got away from Young. And then steered it for Sasaki. Bojas in retreat did well. And Sio was caught. And will win a free kick. And for it, another yellow card will be brandished. This time for Isabella Ricardo.
Yeah, just trying to make sure, hopefully nothing serious on that play. But again on that passage of play, a little overzealous on that one. So I think for Avondale in their back third, they just got to be a little bit careful here, not overdo the duel here.
There are two on bookings, two walking the tightrope right to the very end. And they've got 20 plus stoppage time to avoid any further reprimand. Gertz's free kick. Nodded away well by Young, helped away by Miata. Bidwell gave Akiyama one to chase, which he will do and steer it for Razumich. Now Janitzaris. Heidelberg still unable to find a way really beyond. Miata. Kellen Knight wanted that to go to Barrero earlier, and now it is Kellen Knight's go. Boja's charging, and that one for Wilkinson was always waning away from her. Can either side find a way to break the deadlock? Sasaki and Kellen Knight battled. Barrero went and won it, and couldn't steer it down the line for Bojas. Salesi will retreat. This time Sio dropping in. Miata gave it a launch. Barrero dropped it off to Janitzaris. That's a really tidy ball for Sloane Young, who now wants to have a go at Broadbent. Young shifting, set it for Wilkinson. He wanted to drop it off for Miata. It's a good slide from Sasaki. And now Sio. On for Kerwood Wagner. And maybe Heidelberg could break. Akiyama. Steered it for Sio, who's face to face with Barrero. Sio shifted onto the left, and Bennett gave it quite a calm gather.
I love that passage of play from Heidelberg. They were going at it like, you know, they had multiple options, and again Bennett with the great hands there to save that ball.
Nice and pressed by Wilkinson. She had to clear her lines. It took a little flick on its way through. Gertz, that's tidily guided. And now Razumich, who got away from Miata. Kerwood Wagner on for Sasaki, who is charging. And steered it smashingly for Sio. Kerwood Wagner is at the back post, two are arriving. And Barrero did well, and then did better on the second to prevent the corner. But Heidelberg are getting a lot more joy down the right-hand side.
Yeah, they sure are. Now the question is, can they, I keep saying it, but can they find that reward for effort? Because they've got it. You just feel right now in this second half, they've got all the momentum, well, most of the momentum in this second half. Can they find that reward for effort here?
A quick shin guard readjustment as well for Jiyeon Seo, who is found with immediacy. What a half she's had. Now she's got away from Bojas. Set on for Salesi, who was invited forwards. And her effort was not one which she caught cleanly. He had the feeling now that if either team were to score, they might just go and pinch it. All a question of who can hold their nerve and who can keep creative. As Sasaki on for Akiyama, who was well read in the end. And another spearing ball. Wilkinson in a foot race with Bailey. It's not one which she will win. Set up for Sasaki. It's a deft take. And Gertz went to steer it for Seo. Wasn't quite able to. Miata can only steer it for Sasaki, who got away from the press of Allen and Kellen Knight. Razumich. Happy set it back for Hyson, who gave Broadbent one to chase. Janitzaris. And had to be sure. And Broadbent kept going and went and won it. It was heavily behind Kerwood Wagner, although arriving was Akiyama. Allen in retreat had to be cautious and was to good effect. And it allowed Akado to go and pinch it. Now Bojas, who got beyond Bidwell. Miata. Happy to take all of the pressure out. And Bennett was left for it by Janitzaris, and then couldn't fight Kellen Knight. Bidwell. Allen will help it out now for Kellen Knight. And Avondale have got an opportunity Wilkinson is wandering. Kellen Knight to steer for Young. Hooked up by Razumich. On for Ricardo, who was invited further forward. Kellen Knight placed it behind Boges. Hooked away by Bidwell. Sio, and spun it only for Barrero. Razumich in ahead of Allen. On for Gertz. And Sio is charging. And it's been found smashingly. And the flag has stayed down. And Heidelberg leads. Smash and grab on the break. A beauty of a ball to find her. And Jion Seo, who has had many an opportunity, makes it count at the most important time.
Yeah, 100%. That desperation for the ball and that drive towards the net. Beautiful finish there by So there.
Precisely what they needed. And Jion Seo has scored at personal cost. Heidelberg jubilation turns to momentary concern. And in fact, that will be her final involvement. What an afternoon.
Wow.
Replaced through injury. Teodora Juric will be the one to see it out. But Heidelberg have gone and pinched the lead. The crispest of counters. They've now found themselves in front. Bidwell with a bit of boot maintenance. And for a Heidelberg side who suffered as much as they did last week, this is a true response of defiance and of battle. And now here's Kerwood Wagner. Steered it on for Gertz and gave Kerwood Wagner one to chase, and it'll stay alive for her. Barrero's in retreat and Kerwood Wagner slipped just as she went to whip it in. But with the opportunities they've created in this second half, Ellie, that had been coming.
Yeah, 100%. And this is what I was saying. For most of the first half, were those opportunities going to happen? And it's certainly paid off. And I think now for Heidelberg, can they continue to build that momentum? And same on the flip side for Avondale. Can they find a way? There's still plenty of time left. Can they find a way to, I guess, find some respect back on the scoreboard?
Gert's got a foot on it. Akiyama was happy to hammer it away. Janitzaris will take over. So Avondale, who are yet to drop a point at home all season thus far, now have got to save themselves on their own patch. A real rarity for them in this campaign, though. Allen, when searching for Wilkinson, Broadbent did well to see it back for Bailey. Heidelberg can feel that they are getting close to steering what would be a pretty hefty defeat at the hands of Bulleen into one defeat in 5, though. Young is charging and wins a corner.
Well, this is Avondale's moment here. That was some slick ball movement in that forward third. Can they find a way to find reward for effort here?
In search of an equaliser, Keller Knight's corner. And that one rather wasteful, unfortunately. Wasn't caught cleanly at all. And set pieces are ones that Avondale cannot afford to squander. Certainly not, as this game is now in its latter stages. Although Bailey will give it straight back to them. And Barrero is in a real hurry. And it's because Keller Knight peeled off and found a pocket. Barrero once more. Tidy for Keller Knight. And now Miata. Avondale hunting. That's a sharp swivel from Young. The ricochet will benefit Keller Knight. She wanted to steer it back for Sloane Young. Salesi then got in the way and steered it on for Sasaki. Gertz. Broadbent. Razumich. Akiyama. Back for Broadbent again. He went searching in the channel, and Razumich gave chase to one that found its way into touch. Time now immediately a factor. And time ticking down for Avondale to find an answer. Wilkinson dropped off to good effect, and it's tidy footwork to evade Sasaki. Now on for Bojas, who had runners left and right, one of whom was Callan Knight, although she asked a lot of Sloane Young.
Yeah, just seeing Callan Knight there. Great right idea. I think you could just see her disappointed there in terms of that pass going across the face.
And with each opportunity, you can feel desperation creeping in for Avondale. Not only if you take the league table out of it and an opportunity at the top four, but also that unbeaten record at home as we are inside the final 10 at Avenger Park. And Heidelberg at the moment have gone and snatched it. Barrero, Bojas not beyond Bidwell. Now on for Juric, who turned into trouble. Akiyama made it work. Gertz gave Juric one to chase. Set back for Genitaris. Now the other way. And Avondale with Claridge. Tried to steer it for Sloane Young. He couldn't quite get away from Broadbent. Miata had to lunge. And that's a lot of Bojas. Bidwell happy to hammer it away. Miata kept it rolling. Now Sydney Allen. Barrero. Juric just forcing her back. Miata. Accardo. Again for Barrero. Claridge was on the switch momentarily. She went to clip it towards Wilkinson. It was nodded away by Bidwell. Bojas entangled with Bidwell and wins a free kick.
Yeah, it looks pretty obvious. It looked obvious there. I think just Bidwell, overzealous there, and I think there'll be a bit of a conversation here between the referee just to settle it down a little bit. But great control there by the referee as well. But I think again, this is where Avondale, can they find their moment here?
Avondale opportunity. Callan Knight, Allen over it. In search of a saviour. Allen with depth. Wilkinson didn't get a look. It fell for Bojas. It was blocked well by Razumich. Not once but twice. She was there to intervene. And just stall Bojas from being able to make something of it. Wilkinson. Miata. Barrero. Fancies to go from range herself. And Bailey claimed rather comfortably. And now wants to try and steer for Kerwood Wagner. Barrero did well to win it. And then she took a tumble. Allen. Miata. Set it back for Claridge. Avondale still being patient, though you can feel there is more of an urgency in the way that they are starting to move things around. Claridge. And back for Bennett. Now Barrero. Steady for Wilkinson. She will give chase. Unable to keep it in. They're in a hurry. Callan Knight. Bojas. It's a tidy ball for Young, who was offside.
Okay, we've got a couple of substitutions coming here. So Alyssa Smith coming onto the pitch, and it'll be Miata coming off. And Miata having a fantastic impact in this game, and this is where Smith can step up and really finish the game off here.
Miata has had quite the afternoon. heavily influential in how Avondale have gone about it. And quite the creative smart. They will need something and then some in order to try and rescue a point. It's well won by Boges. Steered it on its way for Smith, who wasn't able to find Kellen Knight. One back by Salesi. Bailey only kidded as far as Claridge, whose touch was a little loose. Heidelberg can feel that they are oh so close to 3 precious points. We'll just steer them further away from the early season turbulence that they've seen. For Avondale, if it stays this way, it will sting. Barrero clipped it for Wilkinson, who got up. Akiyama then came to clear it. And now Razumich couldn't help it on its way to Sasaki. Ricardo did well. Now Claridge. Broadbent. Goetz helped it on its way. Juric gave chase. Claridge. Ricardo. Just a fraction behind Barrero. They keep it rolling. Can Avondale find something? Ricardo afforded room. Wanted to thread it for Wilkinson, and it took a flick off the official. Allen quickly from the drop ball, wanted to go with immediacy for Wilkinson. Those two weren't quite on the same wavelength. Another opportunity, albeit a little one, that goes begging. There's Ricardo. Can Avondale find a way to save themselves? It's a spearing, searching ball for Boges, who's kept it alive. Barrero dropping off. Boges with whip. Wilkinson almost had it fall at her feet with some fortune. Juric helped it on its way. Ricardo, though, will start the next wave. Her switch was cut out, and cut out well by Razumich. Juric then went and won it. Set it off for Kerwood Wagner, who in turn found Goetz. She speared it for Akiyama, and Barrero nodded it, and Heidelberg will make another change. It is imminent. A late shake-up in the piece. Bala Aletti will have to wait her turn. It's Barrero. Cleared only as far as Bidwell. Ricardo did well to go and win it, and then speared one that had too much on it for Wilkinson or Young. You can feel that Avondale desperation, though, really kicking in. Sasaki steered over for Sloan Young, who was offside. And now the substitution can be made. Bala Atelli, who had to wait some time for her introduction, comes on, and Annalie Bidwell, who has had quite the afternoon, makes her way off. Has been insurmountable at the back for Heidelberg, has been massive. Big part of keeping Avondale wingers quiet. Both Boges and Ross unable to find a way beyond her. There's Janitzaris. Forced back for Bennett, who slid Boges. That was tidily done, and Avondale might have an opportunity. Allen was centrally. Akiyama could win it off Boges. Now Barrero. Smith dropped it up for Janitzaris. Out the other way now for Claridge. 3 minutes of stoppage time then for Avondale to go and pinch a point back.